Hey guys, welcome back to this week's comic book review. Finishing off with Marvel this week, The Amazing Spider-Man 659. And Spidey and the others are on the look for the last abnormality, and at the same time, Carly is uberly upset over Pete apparently lying to her, and it keeps interchanging back and forth where Pete's with the Fantastic Four, and they're remembering back when they first visited the island where they first met Doctor Doom. First met up with the Doctor Doom, not the actual Victor Von Doom, and how the Thing had to be Blackbeard the pirate. He had to pretend to be Blackbeard the pirate, and while they're doing that, Carly then gets drunk after one of her I forgot what whatever sport she plays, and she goes to a tattoo parlor which she knows Pete won't be happy with, and the tattoo she picks out is none other than this tattoo, this symbol. Can anybody guess the bad idea? So,
Osborne symbol?
yes. And there's a lot that's attached to that, and a lot of I have a feeling this is going to have ramifications on Carly, not just her relationship with Pete, but it's going to have a lot of ramifications on Carly, period, in the future. So then we go back to Spidey and the FF, and they're fighting zombie pirates now. And Spidey tells Reed that he doesn't have a Spidey sense anymore, and Reed actually says, maybe I can help you out with that, maybe I can fix it. And he says that's cool, and then the kids show up, and they finally figure out that it's not any kind of like zombie pirates. It turns out it's the Sinister Six. The Sinister Six shows up, and don't be surprised, don't be fooled. This is really Mysterio in disguise.
Okay.
So that's really awesome. I still hate the way they made Doc Ock. I wish they'd fix Doc Ock and make him.
Who's Mysterio?
Mysterio is Master of Illusion. I'm sorry. I really wish they'd fix Doc Ock. I hate him in this like vegetative state where all he has is his octo legs and everything else can't move anymore. It's kind of stupid. And it's the new Rhino, not the old Rhino. I don't know. I wish they would. I hate that they revamped a lot of Spidey's villains. I really do. But what can you do? Then there's a infested, as you can see on the top, the road to Spider Island starts, and Miles Warren is doing an experiment with bugs, and the bugs go all over the humans, and they start biting them. So this is all apparently leading into Spider Island, and it's going to be called. This was called Bug Time, but I have a feeling that it's going to get. It goes into.
Please don't talk about this.
It goes into Spider Island, so it turns out it's not. The bugs are going to somehow turn these people into people like Spider-Man. This guy's experimenting on things. And the next part of Spider-Man Ghost Rider is here. All with beautiful artwork, by the way, once again. I want to get a good picture. I find a good one of. I can't find a good one of Spidey and Ghost Rider at the same time. For some apparent reason. Oh well, just show Spidey then. Really good. Next story has the next part of both. I'm guessing another part to the Road to Spider Island and the next part to the Ghost Rider. I actually have a new friend recently who commented. He messaged me about good comics that are coming out. He's a huge Ghost Rider fan. If you're a Ghost Rider fan, it's a short story, but it's a good one. It's about 4 pages long, though, so I don't know if you guys are going to be willing to pay the $3.99 to skip the Spidey story and go right to Ghost Rider, but that's up to you. Okay, actually, let's do this one first. I don't want to start off with a bad one. I want to start off with a mediocre one. Flash number 11 on the road to Flashpoint. There's an intervention with Barry. It turns out they're trying to talk to the child, and he's too spooked to talk. I don't want to spoil the I'm going to go through the whole comic. then there's an intervention with Barry where the whole family wants Barry to slow down, that he's only being the Flash, that he needs to chill out, and Bart's uberly upset with him. And then Hot Pursuit says that Bart is the abnormality, and he does something to Bart, and Bart like disappears. And then it turns out the child, in the end, is none other than, and huge spoiler here, Professor Zoom, the Reverse Flash. It turns out he has a ability with his reverse speed force, where he can drain the life from other people and turn himself and make himself younger. But then he grows up again. And it's to be concluded, the entire Flash series, well, this Flash series anyway,
I think Kid Flash
ends in the
is
next
actually
one.
that guy?
No, Kid Flash, that isn't Kid Flash. Kid Flash is somebody else, and it turns out that what's in Hot Pursuit sends Kid Flash off somewhere, and at the same time when Kid Flash gets sent off somewhere, Professor Zoom shows up. It turns out that the Reverse Flash was the kid that was at the site of the second. He's draining people's lives. The cover is completely a lead on. It's not a. It has nothing to do with the story. You're confused? How are you confused?
Who is Dr. Zoom and what kid
The Reverse
was he?
Flash, and he sucked the life force out of one person to make himself younger.
No, but what kid was he?
He was
That
the
grew
kid.
up.
He was the kid. That was him in a
Kid
younger
Flash?
version. No, Kid Flash has nothing to do with this yet. He was the young kid on the crime scene from the last issue.
I completely missed that issue.
Okay, moving along. Brightest Day concluded, finally, with Brightest Day 24. Cover says it all, people. Swamp Thing. Yeah. So, turns out that the reason the boomerang had to throw the boomerang at Dove was so that Dead Man would jump in the way and die again, so that the ring no longer has a tether to him, so it can go into Alec Holland, so he could become Swamp Thing again. And I gotta admit, okay, I gotta admit this, as an impartial, it was like watching the movie with some scenes, like this one, watching the White Lantern, the real Swamp Thing beating up the Black Lantern Swamp Thing. It's a pretty cool picture, gotta admit that. And basically in the end we all know who wins, and everybody gets their life returned to them except for Dead Man, who obviously is dead, and Hawk Woman, or Hawk Girl, Shayera, who is gone. And the White Lantern leaves, and Swamp Thing is now alive again. And the only one who failed in his mission was Hawk. His life is still not his own, so I don't know what that means for the future. But yeah, and Aquaman, thank you God, now has his other hand back. He didn't lose his hand after all. What?
So Hawk Girl is dead, but Hawk Man is
Still alive.
being kind of tortured by the fact that she's dead, right?
Of course. So now Swamp Thing is back and he's defending the world, etc., etc. And then this guy shows up. I don't know who he is. I'm guessing it's actually the from the Aftermath series, and this is how Brightest Day ends completely. He said in the previous panel, "So Swamp Thing returns," and then it goes bollocks, and then it says the beginning, but it's really the end, and it's the beginning of the next phase, which is the Aftermath, and then we go from there. But yeah, Swamp Thing went from the Vertigo universe to the DC universe. Where we go from here, I don't know. Does anybody know if there's going to be a Swamp Thing series for DC Comics? I hope not. I really do. I mean, yeah, he's no longer a White Lantern, now he's just Swamp Thing again. But I'll get the first few issues of Swamp Thing, but I don't see it really standing as a full series. I don't see it working. I really don't. No offense to those of you who are Swamp Thing fans. Like I said, I like Swamp Thing too, but I don't know.
You see it dying?
We'll see. I'm not even throwing it out there yet. We'll see. We'll see. Going into the last two comics of this week, and these are my two favorites. First, Green Lantern Emerald Warriors 9, continuing the story with the War of the Green Lanterns. We are more than halfway through. We are, with this book, a book over halfway through. It's a 10-part series. In this book, they decide, they get hit by Mogo, and they decide to burrow into the center of Oa so Mogo can't shoot them anymore or pull them into his gravitational pull like he did with the Black Lanterns and suck them into his core and destroy them. So they put it to a vote whether they go after Mogo and try to release him from the Parallax's influence, or whether they go to the Central Power Battery and pull Parallax out. And it turns out they go to the Central Power Battery due to an outvote. John is the only one that wanted to go to Mogo. And when they get to the bottom of the Central Power Battery, they come to a room where you find Krona's the first ever Green Lantern device, the glove that he wore when they first captured him. The artwork is beautiful. These covers are really great, by the way. And they face off against like a Guardian, I'd say, a Guardian of the factory and of the ancient device. And basically all they had to do was what every Green Lantern does, show no fear. And when they do, he figures out right away that they're Green Lanterns. He sticks their hands into the green light, and it turns out he sees that they're really Green Lanterns, and he gives them the device. After that, they find out that there's trouble with Mogo, and Kyle changes his vote, and John and Kyle decide to go after Mogo while Hal and Guy Gardner are still going after the core. Now Guy Gardner's a Red Lantern, plus he has the power of the Green Lantern device that Krona used to have. And they go to the Central Power Battery just to meet up with the Guardians that now have all the entities inside of them to be continued in Green Lantern. I'm guessing Green Lantern is 66 is going to follow Hal Jordan and Guy Gardner's story. Green Lantern Corps is going to follow Kyle and John, and then it's all going to come back once again in the Emerald Warriors, or maybe not. We'll find out in the next issue. But there's 4 more parts to go, guys, and this is really looking good. Jeff Johns is doing it. I've told a lot of people Jeff Johns did an amazing job with Green Lantern. Hopefully after War of the Green Lanterns, though, everything's going to cool down for a while. No big event for Green Lantern for a while at least. And hopefully they find Sinestro and everybody else. And that's not the next storyline, because then that's just going to be crazy. Really good, guys. I would go. It's worth going back to 6 issues to do the War of the Green Lanterns. It was amazing, and the backstory is even further back in Green Lantern. Finally, this week, a controversial comic book. What I've been waiting for 7 months almost. The end of Lex Luthor and the beginning, the return. He even says it in the first few pages. He's back. Action Comics 900. I bought the incentive cover. I bought the Alex Ross cover because I could not buy that dark-looking cover with Superman with the red eyes with Lex Luthor in the background. So I got the incentive cover. It wasn't that much. It was only like $1 more. I had to get the Alex because I love Alex Ross anyway. The story, the artwork, tons of collaborations between Dan Jurgens, Jim Lee, everybody. Every 2 pages was a new artist. Every 2 pages. Here's one artist, then you turn 2 pages, here's another artist. Oh no, wait, at the end I'm going the wrong. In the beginning, then it sticks to an artist after a while. And it goes between 2 stories. Superman returns to Metropolis just to get pulled away by Lex Luthor, but not before finding out that Doomsday or something has come back to take and took away Superboy, Supergirl, Steel, and the Eradicator, and Cyborg also. But I don't think he knows about the Cyborg being there yet. And as he's leaving to find them, Lex Luthor pulls him away, and then it's like then he's looking for a way to break Superman. And he tries everything. He tries to show him when his parents sent him away, and it wasn't them, it was him. That he showed him that when he died. That was Dan Jurgens' page, actually. I love Dan Jurgens' page where Lex was showing him when he died. The artwork, I always loved Dan Jurgens' artwork. Then he showed him. Then this is where it finally struck a chord, where he showed him Chris going back into the Phantom Zone and the destruction of New Krypton, and he still didn't break. And then Superman says, "You think I don't know what loss is? You have the power now. You're like almighty. Look into my mind." And he sees the death of Pa Kent, and he figures out that Superman is Clark Kent. And just as he's ready to defeat Superman, he can't, because for some weird reason he doesn't have the power to. And then it goes back to the other people, the Eradicator and everybody else, and they're fighting one of the Doomsdays. And I say one of them, you'll see why in a moment. And then finally, Lex Luthor becomes, he wakes up, and instead of choosing to, he wants to bring happiness to destroy all the sadness in the world, and everybody's happy for a brief moment. And then as Lex has the decision, what?
Who's that?
That's Death. As Lex, all he has to do is
Death
not.
Is very pretty.
All Lex has to do is not want to hurt Superman anymore, and he refuses, and that's where he loses his power. And the angrier he gets, the more power he loses, and in the end, basically, he loses all the power, and everything gets put back in the Phantom Zone, and he's back to himself, and he can't remember anything, of course, so he doesn't remember that Superman's Clark Kent or anything. And the Joker has a cameo saying he played the greatest sick joke Lex played the greatest ever sick joke on the universe and on himself. So he can't remember. And he gets sucked away into one of the black spears. And Lois, the robot Lois, now has control over her body, and she flies off into space. And throughout all this, Superman, Lex actually says he has a part in all these Doomsdays coming back, like the Doomsday coming back. And he says it's all in the ruins of New Krypton, and that's where Superman finds the ship. I guess this really doesn't have anything to do with Flashpoint. And he takes a leap of faith into the ship, and you find the original Doomsday. He's dead, and they're trying to bring him back. And then Superman says, "So what's everybody doing?" And Cyborg Superman figured it out. It's he says here, he sees Lex not only through Sam Lane found Doomsday and tried to bring him and brought him to the ship, like kept him in the ship, but he also caused the reign of the Doomsdays. The reign. And that's where they leave you off with this comic. Then there's another comic there's another story with Jor-El on Krypton. He's talking to somebody about the death, and he's like, there's his son, there's Clark as a baby on Krypton. Then there's another story about Superman, and then there's another story about a short story, a literal 4-page story with Lois Lane having a Legion ring, and they have like a party with the Legion. And then this is where we're going to stop a second. This is the issue that actually, this is the story that actually made it into Fox News, and this is a story I'm choosing to ignore, and I'm choosing to pretend never happened. It's written by David S. Goyer. And in this issue, Superman meets up with a CIA agent, and he wants to know why Superman was flying over, where was it?
Frederick, Maryland?
No. Well, there are snipers watching. Where was it called? Tehran. Because there's apparently a war going on, and Superman didn't belong there. He's supposedly an American citizen, and everything like that. And then Superman and him have this huge argument, and here's what every Superman fan, I'm sorry, I've grown up with him now since I was like 11 years old. He's the reason why I collect comics. He was somebody I could aspire to want to be like. And this is now little over, let's see, I started in 98, 2008, 9, 10, 11. Little over 13 years after I started collecting Superman, they do this shit. This is the quote. "I'm tired of having, here. I realized that, well, he's told, this is, of course, it was foolish of me, which is why I intend to speak before the United Nations tomorrow and inform them that I am renouncing my U.S. citizenship. I'm tired of having my actions construed as instruments of U.S. policy, truth, justice, and now in bold, the American way. It's not enough anymore." The world's too small, too connected. Okay, since 1938, Superman has always fought for three things: truth, justice, and the American way. Superman's spaceship landed in Kansas. He grew up on a Kansas farm, American, with American parents. I'm sorry. And this is not like a hit on any country like Canada or Europe. And this is no knock to you guys or anything. But, and I know Superman's creators, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, were Canadian. They were Canadian. They were born and raised in Canada and came to the United States. I completely understand that the creators are Canadian. But when they created Superman, he was an American superhero and he stood for the American way. Always did, and he always will. This story, in my opinion, never happened because this is a piece of shit.
Now.
For the simple fact that, what now? I wasn't, look at what?
Yes, the story sucks. But you gotta admit the artwork's pretty good.
Oh, the artwork's great. Absolutely. I said nothing bad about the artwork.
No, I'm just letting you know.
Yes.
Because they can't see it.
Superman stands for the American way. I think DC Comics needs to wake up and see how much they are destroying one of the biggest icons in their arsenal, so to speak, in their universe. Superman has been treated very poorly over the past 11 years. Since his return.
I have a good saying. DC needs to wake up and smell the shit that they're creating and clean it up.
Very interesting. But no, I've been collecting since 1998. When I started collecting, Superman was good. Ever since the year 2000 hit, however, he's been on a slippery slope that just kept going, and this story just literally landed him at rock bottom. Literally, it landed him rock bottom. They've put him grounded, where he's walking the world. The story is going nowhere. It really is going nowhere. And that's happening in the Superman comics. The story's going nowhere and it's killing him. The new Krypton bullshit killed him, and that was last year. The year before that was preparing for new Krypton, and that was a bunch of bullshit. And the years before that, his stories really, they were either hit or miss. And when it was a hit, it was okay. When it was a miss, it was a complete and utter foul. In the very beginning of 2000, the artwork was, I couldn't even give you a good, I can't even come up with a word to describe the artwork that Superman had from the year 2000 to about 2003, 2004. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's a few years, maybe it's a year or two earlier, a year or two later. But Superman has gone through the shitter. It's like DC Comics is using Superman as a test tube for artists and writers, because I'm telling you, Jeff Johns did an amazing retelling of his background story for the 4th time already. Okay, I don't even care they're retelling the past, because it doesn't affect apparently the present as much as after Man of Steel they didn't go backwards, they stayed in the present. So they've changed his past, but it doesn't do anything to Superman's present. DC Comics, in light of this story, needs to, I'm not saying print a retraction, not at all. You can't retract this. Every Superman fan, every comic fan has this. You can't take back something this bad. When you change something that's been in history for over 73, Superman is about 73 years old. Something that's been in history for 73 years, you can't just write this and expect to just say, oh, I'm sorry, and expect it to go away. It's not going to. As a matter of fact, I believe Fox News blew this way out of proportion. I mean, I'm not blowing this even halfway out of proportion as I should be. But anyway, it's something that DC Comics just has to say, okay, you know what? This story happened, but it didn't happen in continuity. It's just a side story. Or they just have to ignore that the story ever happened and keep Superman saying truth, justice, and the American way. Far be it for me to talk about the way America's been You know, I'm not getting into politics or anything that we've been doing lately in the real world when it comes to America, where we're basically bowing down to everybody else. But that's a different story, and I don't get involved in politics, and I'm not here to debate politics or America with you guys. That's something you guys in America, if you don't know what's going on, well then you got to figure it out on your own. I'm here to discuss comics, and this was a shit move. Any comic fan of Superman, any diehard Superman fan is pissed off about this. And I don't care what people on CBR are saying, where they say, you know, Superman is for the world. I don't care what fans are saying that, you know, his creators were Canadian, so he shouldn't have stood for the American way anyway. Listen, yes, his creators were Canadian. I've noticed a lot of Canadian people do a lot of awesome things. Spawn came out of Canada, and a lot of good comic books, and a lot of good artists and writers came out of Canada. But beside the point, they created him in America. He's an American superhero. I don't care who writes him anywhere in the world. Superman was born in America. His comics started in America. He's still an American superhero. This revoking his American citizenship is a bunch of bullshit. First of all, he never had American citizenship, Superman. Clark Kent has American citizenship. Superman is just a superhero that stands for the American way. So this story, as far as I'm concerned, I turn the page and doesn't exist. Okay? And if DC Comics continues on that story takes place and Superman just says, well, I fight for truth and justice now in the world way, no. Truth, justice, American way. Stop fucking with Superman, DC. Dan Didio, whoever the head cheese is at DC now, because I heard he stepped down as far as I last heard. Wake up and smell that you're destroying one of your iconic superheroes. Okay? Because you're going to lose a lot. This I know had to have lost a few fans. Definite. Absolutely, I know a lot of people that are going to drop Superman after this. I don't care about your $2.99 drop or any of your bullshit. You don't do this. This is a spit in the face of everybody who's been a Superman fan since 73 years ago when the first comic came out. He's an American hero. Deal with it. Live with it. The saying stands, no matter where, I don't care what you did here, Superman always and forever will stand for truth, justice, and the American way. If you can't deal with it, DC, then whoever figures that this is wrong shouldn't be working. Not only shouldn't be working on Superman, should not be working in DC Comics. Go to Marvel and screw with their characters, and you see how fast the Marvel community will want you to get out of comics completely. Stay away from the iconic superheroes. Stop changing them. Stop making them work, making them like shit. They need to be left alone. You need to leave Superman alone and give him back to people who work good with him. Give him back to Dan Jurgens, Bogdanoff, and Brett Breeding. Those people knew how to do Superman in the 90s.
Alex Ross as well.
Alex Ross is an artist.
Yes.
He did Kingdom Come. Kingdom Come was amazing. Amazing. But this is a reason why I wish I was back in the 90s right now. Because this is shit. This is like they took the comic book and wiped it on their ass and here's the story you get.
I just said that, Chris.
No, it's like this is the toilet paper.
I already said that though.
Anyway, moving away from that, then there's a final story. It's not even a story, it's more of a storyboard. Like a storyboard written by Richard Donner, who did the Superman movie. And it was really good also. It would be interesting to see it made into a movie. It's not an actual comic, they just show. I know. And then the very end was my favorite. The poster from Superman when he first was created all the way to current day. My two favorites, of course, Dan Jurgens and the long hair. I love Superman with the long hair. And with that, I conclude this week's comic review because I got the finger. It's about 29 minutes, so let's run through it.
It's 28:29.
Okay. Action Comics 900. Awesome. My advice, though, skip that one story where Superman renounces being American and the American way. Fuck you, DC, forever okaying that story to be put in here. And fuck you, David Goyer, whoever the fuck you are, for even thinking about writing such shit. Green Lantern Emerald Warriors number 9. Awesome. Check it out. Brightest Day 24. It's over. It was Swamp Thing. Now we just have to deal with it. The Flash 11. It's leading into Flashpoint. It's up to you guys. Amazing Spider-Man 659. Awesome. Check it out. FF number 2 stays awesome. Check it out. Venom number 2 stays awesome. Check it out. All great artwork. X23 number 9, Collision Part 3, awesome, great artwork, check it out, you even say thumbs up. Osborn, if you didn't get it when it came out the 5 parts, get the trade paperback, it was really good. Uncanny X-Men 536 still stays good, check it out. Captain America 617, if you want to see Bucky in jail, check it out, if not, it's a pass. X-Men number 10. The story was good. The artwork sucked. That's up to you guys. This was a freebie. You get it at any comic book store. The Mighty Thor saga from Thor from beginning to current days. And I'm actually going to check out this hard slipcover thing. The Traveler 6 stays amazing. Great artwork, great story. Check it out. Horn 15 stays awesome. Check it out. And the